Hey Sharks, I'm going to give you a little bit of help here. If you would like to know a little bit more about the summer reading option, A Mango-Shaped Space, I'm going to read the first few pages so that you can learn a little bit about the story and see if you would like to pick this book to read this summer. Prologue. Freak. Freak. I'll never forget the first time I heard that word. That day at the blackboard. It was 5 years ago when I was 8. For those who are mathematically challenged, like me, that means I'm 13 now. So there I was, dressed in my shepherd girl costume for the Christmas play after school, struggling to complete the math problem on the board while my fellow third graders watched. The one-size-fits-all costume didn't fit me, the shortest shepherd in the class, so I had to keep pushing up the sleeves. The chalk dust tickled my nose. My feet were freezing in the sandals that, in my humble opinion, no one should have to wear in northern Illinois in the middle of December. My mission was to multiply 24 times 9. I remember thinking that if I wrote slowly enough, the bell might ring before I could finish. Just 5 more minutes. Then no one would know that I couldn't solve this problem. I rolled the smooth piece of chalk around my fingers and tried not to think about the whole class staring at my back. Glancing around in what I hoped looked like intense concentration, I noticed a few fragments of colored chalk on the ledge of the board. To use up some time, I put down the white piece and began rewriting each number on the board in its correct color. Mia! My teacher, Mrs. Lowe, startled me. As I turned, the chalk screeched on the board, and a deep red zigzag shape sped across my field of vision. My classmates groaned at the noise. "This isn't art class," she said, wagging her long, skinny finger at me as if I didn't know that. "Just use the white chalk." "But isn't it better to use the right colors?" I asked, confident that the other kids would agree. The class giggled, and I grinned, thinking they were laughing at her. Not me. "What do you mean, the right colors?" she asked, sounding genuinely confused and more than a little annoyed. Now I became confused. Wasn't it obvious what I meant? I looked at my classmates for help, but now their expressions had changed. They gawked at me as if I had suddenly sprouted another head. My hands started to shake a little, and I rushed out my explanation. "The colors! The colors of the numbers, you know, like the 2 is pink. Well, of course, it's not really this shade of pink, more like cotton candy pink. And the 4 is this baby blanket blue color, and I just figured it would be easier to do the math problem with the numbers in the right colors, right?" I pleaded with my classmates, my friends, to back me up. This time, when the class laughed, it didn't sound so friendly. I felt my cheeks burning. Then I heard it. In a loud whisper from the back row, "Freak." Except it sounded like freak. "What are you talking about, Mia?" demanded my now clearly irate teacher. "Numbers don't have colors. They simply have a shape and numerical values. That's all." "But they have all those things," I whispered, my voice sounding far away. Mrs. Lowe put her hands on her hips. "I've had enough of this. For the last time, numbers do not have colors. Now, are you going to complete the assignment?" I stared at her and shook my head. I suddenly felt very small, as if my skin was tightening and I was actually shrinking. A whirring sound filled my head. How was this possible? Was everyone playing a trick on me? Of course numbers had colors. Were they also going to tell me that letters and sounds didn't have colors? That the letter A wasn't yellow like a faded sunflower, and screeching chalk didn't make red, jagged lines in the air? I replaced the chalk on the ledge, aware for the first time that my hands shake when I'm nervous. I stood with my arms at my sides, sleeves hanging halfway to my knees. Was I the only one who lived in a world full of color? I waited to see if they were going to tell me that the earth was flat. A badly constructed paper airplane wobbled past my nose. Mrs. Lowe sent me to Principal Dunbar's office, where I repeated my explanation for using the colored chalk. By the time my parents arrived an hour later, I had run out of steam. I sat there and listened to them talk about my uncharacteristic behavior. I wanted to tell the principal that his name was the color of freshly piled hay. I quickly thought better of it. Even at 8 years old, I was smart enough to realize that something was very wrong, and that until I figured out what that was, I'd better not get myself in deeper trouble. So I pretended that I made everything up. I sat there and said things like, "It was stupid. I was only playing around." And at least 20 times I said, "I'm sorry." The principal left me in the hands of my parents, who brought me home. I promptly kicked off the stupid sandals, threw on my sneakers, and took off running through the fields behind my house. The cold didn't bother me. I was too busy brooding over the unfairness of it all. The Christmas play was short one shepherd girl. Mrs. Lowe made me clean the erasers for a week and apologize in front of the whole class for taking up their time with my nonsense. Those were her words, not mine. Pretty soon, everyone forgot about that day. Everyone but me. I learned to guard my secret well, but now I'm 13. Everything is about to change, and there's nothing I can do to stop it.